We are the original Saturday Menudo Club, except no substitutes. Ya no más.
Hi, I am Elsa. You are watching the Saturday Menudo Club ZoomCast with host Carmen Cavazos and co-host Andy Valadez. Please like, share, follow, and visit SaturdayMenudoClub.com. Ya no más. Stay hungry, my friends.
All right, we're back. My name is Andy Valadez. I'm your co-host of the Saturday Menudo Club ZoomCast, here with the host, Carmen Cavazos. Hey, Carmen, how you doing today?
Hey, Andy, I'm doing great.
All right, I'm so glad we get to do these Zoomcasts. We don't have to wait each month to wait for our next conversation. We have an awesome guest coming up, but we had an awesome event this Saturday. Can you give the audience a little brief on what happened at the Menudo Club at El Tiempo Navigation?
Absolutely. The energy was spectacular. Let me tell you that much. It was as good as a hot boiling pot of menudo. But let me tell you a little bit about what happened. We had some great speakers, some intro speakers that we had a great segment of Stir the Pot. The show stealer, though, the show stopper was candidate Don Huffines. He laid out a heartfelt message as to why he has committed himself to run in this race for Texas State Comptroller. And it is an amazing testimony from where he was at, where he is now, and where he wants to be with the state of Texas the next election. So I invite you to visit www.SaturdayMenudoClub.com. The full episode of all of our speakers and our keynote speaker is on there. So I welcome you to join us and view that. And I could guarantee you're going to be hungry for more.
Awesome. We also had Rick Rivera talk about political consultancy and media. Yours truly talked about marketing, AI, and you got to introduce Fabio and Elsa, and we had pictures of them at the event. Which one do you think is the class favorite, Fabio or Elsa?
What? I had a round of applause for Fabio when he did his debut, but ladies, I'm sorry, he's taken. He has a great friendship going on with Elsa, so I don't think we're going to tear them apart. I think they're going to be a great couple together.
Yes, and then we had Mr. Wally Wood, who's going to be our next keynote on November 1st, and so he got to do a little bit of talking about what's in the works for the World Constitution, right? Most people don't realize there is a World Constitution that hasn't been ratified. It's not been what do you call it? One of those non-binding resolutions that's really set up to be put in motion at some point here in the near future. But he's going to be our guest keynote speaker. But today we have another powerful guest in a gentleman that's an attorney at law, Mr. Jack Ezell, and you're going to do the interview. So welcome. Going to go ahead and welcome him to the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Jack Ezell. He has been an attorney at law for many, many years. His practices range from personal injury to probate and so many other topics. But I would love for him to give you some background information and to get to know who is Mr. Jack.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I am a Houston native. I was born in Houston a long time ago. And I obtained a law degree when I was 24. I actually got my license when I was 24 years old. My dad had a law practice that was a family law practice. So I did that with him for about 5 years. I had enough law at that point, and I went to do some jury work. And so I went to work for a plaintiff's firm handling injury cases. So I handled injury cases for about 8 years. And then I went out on my own and practiced really whatever civil cases I decided to take. And so I've been on my own since really 93, which is a long time. I've handled cases of all natures. I've handled family law, probate, injury cases, contract cases, real estate cases. I never really tried to get board certified in any one particular area. I just like the idea of civil practice. And so I've spent most of my time going in and out of courtrooms.
Wow, that is very impressive, sir. You just mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you started this in your early 20s, and we're not going to age anybody here because I don't want to be aged, but that's a dedication. That's a lifetime of dedication serving the public and helping the public. I know you mentioned there was several areas that you have practice in, personal injury, so on and so forth. What is, if you can, what are some of the cases, maybe one or two, that has made an impact with you personally, and something that you may want to share with the public, maybe something with the probate? I know I've had a couple family members that have, lost a loved one. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't keep that in the furthest, they don't think about, if something was to happen to someone, let's make sure that we know how their wants would be carried out if they pass. But
Sure.
in your profession, what is something that may have struck and kept with you, and now you would like to share that as a forewarning to anyone who may be listening?
Sure. Before I go there, you asked of a case that has stuck with me. I had a case probably 20 years ago. I had a gentleman who was a friend who came to my office, and he was in tears, and he had a bag full of receipts from the casinos in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had gotten himself into trouble with the casinos because he had developed a gambling habit. And so I sent I took his case, I sent all of the casinos letters asking them not to let him in the casino.
Mm-hmm.
The idea, and what has come out of that now is, of course, they have a hotline so you can call gamblers, you can call and say a gambler, but before that, they didn't have that. And
Wow.
so ultimately, they reached out to him again, hold of him, got him back in the casinos, and the former mayor of New Orleans ended up taking the case and suing all those casinos, and ultimately they got that protection from folks that are vulnerable to gambling. So I just remember that from the years past.
Wow, that is amazing to hear that you, in a direct and indirect way, have not only helped this gentleman but probably helped millions of people. As we
Yeah.
know, addictions come in many forms, and many guises, and that's an unfortunate thing to have happen to this gentleman. But I'm glad that you not only helped him but indirectly probably helped millions of people as well.
Oh, there's some wealthy people that have lost everything over there. But the other question you asked me was about probate matters, and if I had some advice for folks. We talked earlier, and one of the things that I have seen, I guess, in the last 5 years or so of my practice, I've been focusing on matters, and
Mm-hmm.
I have been running into situations that are, kind of sad situations where you have a husband and wife that are second marriage and have children from a first marriage, and they move forward, they build their life together, their whatever their wealth is and so forth, but fail to take care of just that little thing of putting a will together or some kind of plan. And then if one of them dies unexpectedly, the surviving spouse thinks, well, it comes to me. Well, it doesn't come to you. It ends up going to the children from a prior marriage that probably neither one of you ever had any intention of happening. And I've seen that happen at least, well, many times. And so I've taken the position when people come to my office, I ask them, do you have a will? If you have children of a prior marriage, I consider it spousal if you do not have a will.
Wow, that is some excellent advice. I know, a lot of us, and I say that because, life happens, but a lot of us do
Mhm.
have previous marriages. And you're absolutely correct. I've never, out of all of my girlfriends and guy friends and family members, I don't think we've ever discussed that topic before, but that's something that I'm going to be sharing with them. Um, Really quickly, I know that you've practiced for many years. If someone who is listening to the Zoomcast would like to have some advice, legal advice, or contact
Mhm.
you to hire you for, a document, how would they be able to get a hold of you?
Oh, sure. Well, my email address is just ezell.jack@gmail. So it's just my
Okay.
last name dot first name. So it's easy. And yeah, to put a simple will together is not expensive at all. I mean, and worth every penny of it if you have situations where something's going to end up with somebody that necessarily want it to, because if you don't have the paperwork, the state will tell you where it goes, and that's just the
Yes.
end of it. Judge doesn't have any discretion. He has got to give it next in line of kin.
Yes. Now,
Mhm.
this is a question that have heard over the years is, I have friends across the country who have married in different states, acquired property in different states, but live somewhere else. Um,
Mhm.
is it safe to say that if they opened up some sort of contract or will in the state of Texas, that would cover their property in other states? Or would you be able to give maybe a little bit of guidance on stuff that probably is in a different state? How would that tie into Texas?
Sure. So let's say you lived in Texas, you put a will together in Texas, and then you moved to Tennessee. Is that
Hmm.
the situation maybe?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the will likely would still be good. You would simply probate it over there. The rules are going to be slightly different, but across the board, I'm going to will that's properly filled out with testamentary intent, has two witnesses and a signature. I mean, is going to survive scrutiny and probably be accepted by that state.
Okay. Okay. So not all is lost if they do have documents formed here and then they decide to move elsewhere. Great,
Right.
great. Um, Let me ask you this. You have practiced law for many years.
Yeah.
Andy and I, have formed the Saturday Menudo Club. We're fairly new, 2.5, 3 years, Andy, about 3 years. How did you hear about the Saturday Menudo Club, and why did you decide to visit our club?
Well, well, gee, that's a interesting story that will
Well,
take a
we
little
do
bit.
have a mutual friend together. I
We
know
do.
Martha is that connection that we can lay back as to say she is a mutual friend.
Yes. Actually, Martha's been a client of mine for many, many years. And so, I've helped her along the way. I know that, and my wife assisted her in her run for state senator. And
Oh.
so, about 5 or 6 years ago, we're not really political folks. I woke up and realized the folks that we were voting for weren't the folks that ended up in office. And we were getting a little upset about it. And so we decided to find out what was going on. And so my wife became a precinct chair and and started getting into to understanding what was going on.
Mhm.
And then we live in precinct 2. Um, the judge in precinct 2 had been on the bench there for, 30 years, I think, since 87. And then he retired and went to do something else. And the conservatives didn't even offer a candidate. And so we ended up with a liberal candidate as a judge. And, I am a conservative in that I don't think judges should be activists. I don't think they should pick and choose which laws they get to enforce. They don't issue injunctions exceed the capacity of the jurisdiction of the court. And so I'm just, a rule of law guy, and I think that's the way judges are supposed to rule. And that's the way, and so I decided that this time around, when I found out that the judge had run unopposed, I told my wife, I said, we're not going to let that happen this time.
Wow. That is, a lot of time and effort goes into being a precinct chair. I myself have been one for several years, so I applaud your wife. I applaud you for supporting her in that role, and I also applaud her in supporting you on this bid to run for this position for Justice of the Peace. You're absolutely correct. A lot of the times, the positions within our ballot go uncontested. And it's unfortunate because there isn't even an attempt to make a fight for that seat. So thank you. Thank you for stepping up. It's not only courageous of you, but it shows that your dedication for the community is solid. We need a strong foundation and good conservatives. And not only that, you made an excellent point that being a judge is following what the law has stated, and it's a non-biased position. So thank you very much for coming forward and for taking the responsibility to do the campaigning, going out and meeting people. And you mentioned Martha, her bid for, and we're referring to Miss Martha Fierro. Several years ago, she ran also for the Texas Senate. And thank you for helping her as well. I know she has returned the favor, and we thoroughly enjoy you accompanying her to the club, to the Saturday Menudo Club, along with your wife. Tell us a little bit about how people can, or constituents within Precinct 2, how they can assist you with a petition that you're currently taking around,
Yeah.
around the clubs and taking around voters to see if they could potentially help you. Tell us a little bit about that petition.
Okay. For a person to run for a judicial position in Harris County, they have to get at least 250 signatures from voters, in their party, just to get on the ballot. Now, most of the judges can go countywide. They can go all over to signing events and get signatures. For the JP has to get his signatures or her signatures from that precinct. And so if the party is not that active in that precinct, that means the candidate has to simply get out and bang on doors and go visit churches and visit civic associations and try and get the signatures 3, 4, 5 at a time. And that's essentially what we've been doing. And so that's why whenever anybody sees me coming, they dodge me because they see me with my petition.
Signed it. I promise you, I have
You
signed the
did.
petition.
You did.
Is it safe to say that are you at least at the halfway point, or how
Yeah.
can we at the Saturday Menudo Club, and for those of you that are listening on the Zoomcast, how can we help you? I mean, is there maybe an event that we can host for you at a certain location? Is there something that you need that we may be able to help you?
Well, if you could perhaps uh, make one, I don't know if sense, but if you could make one of your events a signing event, I would certainly show up, be glad to meet everybody and so forth and get those signatures. What we've been doing lately is meeting with local pastors because that accomplishes a couple things. As you and I know, we've talked about it probably, and that is that over a third of the folks that sit in pews on Sunday don't vote. And
Yeah.
so the idea is to get a very strong body that if they were voting, we wouldn't be in this mess, and get them out and get them active. But the idea is to try and get voters those who can sign in one location, so I don't have to chase down everybody's address.
Andy,
Um,
do you think this would be maybe a possible 10 or 15-minute segment for our upcoming meeting where we can allocate? I know I'm a precinct chair and it falls within precinct 2. Maybe I could send out a mass email to my voter constituents and see if they could join us for our next meeting. Andy, do we have maybe an open 10 or 15 minutes to do that?
Yeah, we usually have, where people come and order their food and there's nothing, really going on for that 30 minutes or so. So we'll see why not.
Great, great. Well, Mr. Jack, we just slotted you in for our next meeting.
okay.
I will be sending out an invite to those constituents that are within my precinct and surrounding precincts. I believe they do fall within your area, so we will make it a point to help you. Um, I wanted to ask for those that are listening that don't know when exactly your race is up for voting. I know we had a November 4th that we talked about that's coming up for people to go out and vote for that election. But can you specifically tell us when your race is occurring?
Sure. So what we're starting right now is the primary.
Hmm.
And so at this point, the parties are putting their candidates on the ballot to run through springtime, and in the spring we'll have the primary vote. And then those two that come out of the primaries will have the general election in November of next year. So it'll be the
Okay.
second Tuesday of next year, in November 2026.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I want people to remember how they can reach out to you specifically. Would you mind just repeating how people can contact you at being if they want to help with your campaign and just talk to you about your election, or maybe if they want some legal advice and are looking to hire counsel?
Sure. It's ezell.jack, EZELL.JACK @gmail.com. And our site for the campaign is ezellcampaign.com.
Perfect. And I believe we will have maybe a flyer come up within the next few days announcing our next event. People can always refer to our website to see who our keynote speakers are and also to get information on other speakers. You could find that information out at www.saturdaymenudoclub.com. We do have Elsa and now Fabio who are on our websites, thanks to Andy. Is there anything, Mr. Ezell, that you would like to close with or maybe mention that we didn't cover?
Gee, just to me, the obvious, and that is that I've heard people say because this upcoming is going to be a midterm that our president is not on the ballot, and I would beg to differ that if we lose the House or the Senate, then he loses any power to move things along. I'm not sure that people understand this, but most of what he's done has been done by executive action, right? And so they're not really laws. So the next president can come in and make them more of a bump in the road than actually laws and the changes. And so it's very important. This is, as I guess, the next election coming up, this important election that we've got.
Those are some excellent points. A lot of the stuff that has made a difference these past 2 years have been done through executive order. And a lot of people cannot captivate that if we do lose the House and we do lose, the Senate, unfortunately, when we lose, if it should come to that and we lose a Republican as a president, then those get reverted back. It's all to the discretion of who the president is, as far as I understand that. So great points. Andy, do you want to add anything to that?
Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you for an awesome interview. Thank you for being available, Jack. Again, my name is Andy Valadez. I'm your co-host of the Saturday Menudo Club ZoomCast here with your host, Carmen Cavazos, host of the show. And thank you, Jack, again for being available.